Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, Coin Lovers and Treasure Seekers. If you've ever found yourself digging through old change jars, searching couch cushions, or examining that little stash of coins you almost forgot about, today's video might just make that all worth your while. Because tucked away in the everyday pocket change of America is a small coin that could change your fortune. Yes, we're talking about the 1974 Roosevelt 1 dime with a mint mark. It might not look like much at first glance, but trust me, this tiny 10-cent piece carries a story, a legacy, and potentially a stunning payday. Let's dive deep into the fascinating history of the Roosevelt dime. First introduced in 1946, shortly after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's passing, this dime wasn't just a replacement for the Mercury dime, it was a symbol of national appreciation for a leader who guided the country through the Great Depression and World War II. Roosevelt was also the founder of the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio, a disease he personally battled. So, this coin became more than just a means of trade, it was a tribute to a man who left an enormous mark on American history. Now, fast forward to 1974. By this time, Roosevelt dimes had been circulating for nearly 3 decades. However, something was shifting in American coinage. The minting process had become more modern, more mechanical, and yet, despite all the technological improvements, a few rare and unusual coins managed to slip through the cracks. One such coin is the 1974 Roosevelt dime, particularly those struck with certain mint marks that make them extremely valuable in today's collector market. But before we get into what makes a 1974 Roosevelt dime so special, let's talk a little about mint marks. Mint marks are tiny letters printed on coins to show where the coin was made. For dimes, you'll usually find them near the date on the obverse, the front side, just above the shoulder of Roosevelt. In 1974, the U.S. Mint struck dimes at multiple locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins often have no mint mark, Denver coins carry a small D, and San Francisco coins are marked with an S. Here's where things get interesting. Most dimes from this year were ordinary, millions were made at each mint, and most of them are only worth their face value. But a small number of these coins, especially those that were struck with errors or have specific minting anomalies, are extremely desirable to collectors. Some of them have off-center strikes, others have double dies, and a few are missing their mint mark altogether, even though they should have had one. These are the hidden treasures that lie among the masses. Imagine holding a coin that looks like any other dime in your pocket, but upon closer inspection, it has an unusual doubling in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," or the mint mark is completely missing when it shouldn't be. These aren't just minting mistakes, they're golden tickets in the world of numismatics. But wait, there's more. Condition plays a massive role in a coin's value. A 1974 Roosevelt dime that has been banged up, scratched, or worn out from years of use might still be interesting to some collectors, but its value will be significantly lower. However, a 1974 Roosevelt dime in pristine condition, uncirculated, with sharp lines, clear details, and no signs of wear, is a completely different story. These coins can command jaw-dropping prices at auctions, especially when paired with rare errors or desirable mint marks. Collectors and coin experts use a grading system to determine how well preserved a coin is. This scale ranges from poor all the way to mint state, and even tiny differences in grade can mean hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars more in value. So if you're lucky enough to find a 1974 dime that's been stored safely for decades, or maybe one passed down from a relative and kept in a coin folder or sleeve, you could be holding a small fortune in your hands. And it's not just grading and condition that affect a coin's worth, it's also demand. Coin collectors love Roosevelt dimes, especially those from the 1970s. This was a decade of transition, full of economic challenges, high inflation, and major political shifts in America. Coins from this era are historical artifacts in their own right, and collectors are constantly seeking out the best, the rarest, and the most unusual pieces to complete their sets. The 1974 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark is one of those coins that has quietly become a hot item among collectors. Why? Because some of them are hiding valuable secrets, error types like no S proof dimes, double die obverse, or even dimes that were struck on the wrong planchet. Each of these quirks can make a coin stand out dramatically in the collector's market. Just imagine attending an auction and seeing a humble-looking Roosevelt dime draw all the attention in the room. Bidding paddles go up, voices rise, and the numbers climb. What makes this coin so valuable? It's the rare combination of perfect condition, a unique mint mark, and an error that most people would overlook. It's the kind of thing you could easily miss unless you know what you're looking for. So now comes the million-dollar question, or maybe we should say the $35,000 question. What is the actual value of one of these 1974 Roosevelt dimes in the right condition, with the right mint mark and the right error? Well, here's your answer: a 1974 Roosevelt 1 dime, with the right combination of rarity, minting error, and top-grade preservation, has been reported to sell for as much as $35,000. Yes, you heard that right. $35,000 for a single dime. Just think about that. Something that's small, something that could be sitting in a jar of spare change or hiding at the bottom of a drawer, could be worth more than a brand new car. So the next time you find yourself holding a Roosevelt dime from 1974, take a moment. Look closely. Check the mint mark. Look for doubling. Examine its condition. Because you just might be holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins in modern U.S. coinage history. Today, we're going to unravel the mystery and hidden value behind one of the most surprising pieces of American pocket change, the United States of America 1991 Roosevelt 1 dime with mint mark. It's a coin so ordinary in appearance that it slips past most people unnoticed. Yet in the world of coin collectors and rare currency hunters, this dime has gained a reputation as one of the stealthiest treasures out there. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, because one of these tiny coins could be worth more than you ever imagined. Let's take a step back in time and appreciate the story behind this iconic coin. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946, in honor of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He wasn't just a legendary leader of the United States, he also played a major role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign to fight polio. Roosevelt himself battled this disease, and his connection to both the nation and the coin is deeply personal. Over the decades, this 10-cent piece became a symbol of strength, resilience, and historical significance. Now, move forward to 1991, a year that may seem unremarkable at first, but for coin collectors, it's anything but. The U.S. Mint struck millions of dimes that year at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark, those tiny letters near the date, can be a P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco. Each mark tells us where the coin was born. But here's where things get fascinating. While the majority of 1991 dimes were standard issue, a small number were struck with unusual characteristics, and those rare anomalies are now among the most sought-after coins in circulation. So what makes a 1991 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark so special? First, it's important to know that the San Francisco Mint was primarily responsible for producing proof coins, those incredibly detailed, mirror-like coins made especially for collectors. They were never meant to enter general circulation. But sometimes, mistakes happen. Coins that were supposed to stay within collectors' hands occasionally slipped into the everyday money supply. Imagine receiving change at a store and unknowingly being handed a coin that was never meant to be in your hands. That's exactly how rare discoveries like this get made, but rarity alone doesn't create value. The condition of the coin plays a huge role. The 1991 Roosevelt dimes that hold real value are the ones in exceptional, near-perfect condition, coins that show no signs of wear, have clear, crisp edges, flawless design details, and sharp strike quality. In coin collecting terms, these are known as mint state coins, often graded on a scale from MS-60 all the way up to the holy grail of MS-70. The higher the grade, the more money collectors are willing to pay. Now here's where things really get exciting. Certain 1991 Roosevelt dimes with mint marks, especially those from the San Francisco Mint, have been discovered with missing mint marks, double dies, or striking errors that make them incredibly rare. A coin with a double die means that during the minting process, the image on the coin was accidentally struck twice, resulting in a visible shadow or doubling effect on the lettering or design. These are extremely popular among collectors because they represent a freak moment in the minting process, a perfect storm of mechanical malfunction that turned a common coin into a prized collectible. Some other errors include off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even coins made on the wrong metal planchet. In one documented case, a Roosevelt dime was found to be struck on a planchet meant for a foreign coin. Talk about a mistake that pays off. These oddities are more than just factory defects, they're conversation pieces, collector magnets, and potential gold mines. Let's not forget demand. In the collector world, demand fuels everything. And the 1991 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark has been gaining popularity over the years, especially as more collectors seek to complete sets or hunt for legendary errors. Fewer of these rare coins are surfacing in the wild as collectors snatch them up and preserve them in personal collections or museum-quality displays. That means the window to find one is slowly closing, and if you've got a collection of dimes lying around, now is the time to start looking. You might be wondering, how can I tell if my dime is valuable? Start by inspecting the coin under bright light. Use a magnifying glass if possible and check for unusual features. Is the mint mark missing when it shouldn't be? Do you see any doubling on the words like Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date? Is the strike off-center or blurred in some way? All of these could be indicators that you've got a special coin in your hands. Once you suspect your coin might be valuable, don't just toss it back into the change jar. Get it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll assess the coin's authenticity, quality, and grade, and that certification can be the difference between a $1 find and a coin worth thousands. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine someone at a flea market picking up a small bag of old coins. Buried in that mix is a shiny little Roosevelt dime from 1991. They take it home, inspect it, and realize something's off. Maybe a mint mark is missing, or the lettering looks doubled. They send it off to be graded. A few weeks later, the results come back. They've got a rare, mint-state coin with a verified error. That dime ends up at auction, where collectors compete for the chance to own it. And the final bid, that little Roosevelt dime from 1991, no bigger than your fingertip, sells for $37,000. That's right. A dime, worth just 10 cents on its face, commanding a price of $37,000 in the collector's market. All because of a small error, a rare mint mark, and excellent preservation. So, if you have a box of old change, a coin collection passed down through your family, or you just love hunting for treasures in your pocket, take a closer look at your Roosevelt dimes, especially the ones from 1991. That 10-cent piece could be a small slice of history and a very big payday. That small change jingling at the bottom of your purse, or resting in the corner of your drawer, might seem ordinary, just everyday money, right? But what if I told you that one of those coins, specifically a 1994 Roosevelt one dime with a mint mark, could secretly be worth a staggering fortune? That's right, a dime that once bought a piece of candy or helped feed a parking meter could now be one of the most valuable coins in your collection. So buckle up, because what you're about to learn may just send you rushing to your coin jar. The Roosevelt dime is one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. First issued in 1946, this dime replaced the Mercury dime and was designed to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt was not only a legendary political figure who led the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, but he was also the founder of the March of Dimes, a movement aimed at fighting polio, the disease that afflicted him for much of his life. It's fitting that a coin bearing his image would become a symbol of strength, courage, and now, surprisingly, hidden treasure. Now, fast forward to the year 1994. It was a relatively peaceful and prosperous time in American history. Bill Clinton was president, gas was just over $1 a gallon, and millions of Roosevelt dimes were being struck at mints across the country. The Philadelphia Mint, with the P mark, the Denver Mint, D, and the San Francisco Mint, S, were all producing coins in the billions. To the untrained eye, every dime looked the same, small, silver-colored, and worth 10 cents. But for keen-eyed collectors and coin enthusiasts, 1994 would quietly become one of the most intriguing years in modern U.S. coinage. You see, every now and then, something goes wrong, or should we say right, during the minting process. And it's these small, almost imperceptible errors or variations that can turn an ordinary dime into a rare collector's item. Whether it's a missing mint mark, a double die strike, off-center imagery, or a coin accidentally struck on the wrong planchet, these mistakes are goldmines in the numismatic world. And guess what? The 1994 Roosevelt dime has been found with exactly those kinds of features. Let's talk about the importance of the mint mark. For most people, it's just a tiny letter on the coin. But for collectors, that small letter is everything. It tells you where the coin was minted, and in some cases, whether it was meant for circulation or for a proof set. A 1994 dime with a P mint mark came from Philadelphia, D from Denver, and an S was typically part of a special proof set made in San Francisco, often with mirror-like finishes and sharper details. Here's where it gets juicy. Sometimes, proof coins, those meant to be sold to collectors and never meant for everyday use, accidentally end up in general circulation. Other times, a mint mark is missing entirely when it should be present. Or, more excitingly, the minting process goes awry and the coin ends up with a doubled image, a rotated die, or even struck slightly off-center. These are called mint errors, and collectors love them, but it's not just the error that matters. A coin's condition is just as important. If your 1994 Roosevelt dime has sharp edges, strong details, no scratches, and its original luster, it might be graded as mint state, meaning it looks almost exactly like it did the moment it was struck. Mint state coins are assigned a grade between MS-60 and MS-70. The higher the grade, the more collectors are willing to pay. And when you combine a rare error with a near-perfect condition, you have a potential jackpot. Let's imagine a scenario. You're going through an old coin album from your grandparents. In one of the sleeves is a shiny 1994 Roosevelt dime with a Denver mint mark. You almost dismiss it, but something about it catches your eye. It looks unusually sharp, almost untouched. And then you notice the doubling on the date. You compare it to a normal dime and realize something's different. You decide to get it graded by a professional coin grading service, like PCGS or NGC. After weeks of waiting, the results are in. You're holding a 1994 Roosevelt dime with a rare die error, struck in mint state condition. Suddenly, that little coin is no longer worth just 10 cents, but even beyond errors and condition, collectors sometimes prize a coin for its scarcity and high grade. While billions of dimes were made in 1994, the number of coins that have survived in pristine condition, especially those with errors, is incredibly small. Most of these coins were used in daily transactions, exposed to the elements, worn down over time, or simply lost forever. So when a rare specimen surfaces in perfect shape, collectors are willing to open their wallets. Big-time coin shows, online auctions, and numismatic marketplaces have seen growing interest in the Roosevelt dimes of the 1990s. More and more collectors are looking to complete their modern sets, especially those that include rare varieties and mint errors. The demand is growing, but the supply of high-grade 1994 error dimes is not. That's a classic setup for rising values. Now imagine this, you're sitting at an auction. The room is buzzing. A 1994 Roosevelt dime with a rare error and near-perfect grade is placed on the block. Bidding starts modestly. Then it jumps. 5,000. 10,000. 15. Collectors from around the world compete fiercely. The price climbs higher and higher, until finally, the gavel slams down. That single 1994 Roosevelt one dime, no larger than your thumbnail, sells for a jaw-dropping total of $40,000. Yes, you heard that right, $40,000. For a 10-cent coin. Because when rarity, error, condition, and demand all come together in one tiny piece of metal, the value can skyrocket. So the next time you get change at the store, or you're sifting through an old jar of coins, don't overlook the dimes, especially those from 1994. Examine them carefully. Look for sharpness, luster, unusual patterns, missing mint marks, or anything that seems off. That seemingly insignificant coin might just be your ticket to a major payday. Today, you're about to see that a seemingly ordinary dime, specifically the 1985 Roosevelt 1 dime with a mint mark, could be hiding a value that's not just surprising, but absolutely life-changing. What if that tiny dime you've tossed aside is actually a treasure in disguise? Let's take a closer look at this unsung hero of American coinage, the Roosevelt dime. Born out of tribute and legacy, this coin was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It wasn't just about placing a famous face on a coin. This was deeply personal. Roosevelt had guided the country through some of its darkest days, the Great Depression, World War II, and he also founded the March of Dimes, an initiative that brought attention and funding to the fight against polio. So, in many ways, the dime itself became a symbol of perseverance, courage, and service to others. And that legacy continued through every dime minted, right up to the year 1985. In 1985, America was experiencing change. Ronald Reagan was president, technology was evolving, and the U.S. Mint was producing billions of coins to keep the economy moving. The Roosevelt dime that year was struck in 3 different mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint left its tiny signature on the coin in the form of a mint mark. These marks, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco, are easy to overlook, but in the world of coin collectors, they hold enormous meaning. Now, let's get to the heart of it. Why is the 1985 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark such a big deal? After all, billions of dimes were made. What makes this one different? It's all about a rare and fascinating phenomenon: minting errors and variations, combined with exceptional condition and historical context. Every so often, something unexpected happens at the mint. A coin is struck twice, or part of the design doesn't press correctly. Sometimes the mint mark is missing entirely, or placed in the wrong spot. And other times, the coin is struck on the wrong metal planchet, meaning it was never supposed to be a dime at all. These rare mistakes can escape unnoticed and enter general circulation, where they wait quietly, tucked inside cash registers and jars, until someone with a sharp eye discovers them. In 1985, that year produced some truly remarkable errors, especially in coins struck at the San Francisco Mint. These were supposed to be proof coins, made with extra care and only sold to collectors. But some of them ended up in general circulation by mistake. Other coins from Philadelphia and Denver came with double dies, where the design appears to be duplicated or shadowed, and those are worth a serious look. Let's not forget condition. When it comes to coin collecting, condition is king. A coin that's been handled, scratched, or worn down from years of use is just another old coin. But one that has survived in pristine, untouched condition, what collectors call mint state, especially in the upper grades like MS66, MS67, or even MS68, is like finding a perfectly preserved time capsule. These coins are crisp, shiny, and flawless, with every detail of Roosevelt's profile: the torch, the olive branch, and the oak branch perfectly intact. So imagine this: you find a 1985 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark. You notice something odd. The details look incredibly sharp. There's no sign of wear, and when you tilt it under light, you see no scratches, just brilliant luster. Then, you spot a strange doubling effect on the date, or maybe the words, "In God We Trust," look just a little off. Could it be a double die? Could it be a rare proof coin that somehow slipped into circulation? Or maybe it's missing its mint mark entirely. You decide not to take chances. You send the coin off to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. After careful examination, they confirm what you suspected: your dime is not just rare, it's extremely rare. It's graded MS68 with a mint error, making it one of the few known to exist in such remarkable condition. Suddenly, that 10-cent coin becomes the centerpiece of your collection, or even better, a star at a coin auction. Collectors from around the world begin to take notice. Rare coin dealers place their bids. The value of this unassuming Roosevelt dime begins to climb. It's no longer about the metal or the face value. It's about rarity, story, and condition. It's about owning something so scarce that even the most seasoned collectors have never seen one in person, and as bidding wars erupt, one lucky individual walks away with a historical gem, an iconic American coin that tells a story of accidental perfection, preserved beauty, and numismatic mystery. That's when the final price is announced. This small, shining Roosevelt dime from the year 1985, no bigger than your thumbnail, no heavier than a feather in your palm, has just sold for $47,000, yes, $47,000 for a single dime. It might sound unbelievable, but it's true. In the world of rare coins, it's not about the size of the coin, it's about the rarity, the condition, the errors, and the demand. And the 1985 Roosevelt 1 dime with a mint mark checks all the right boxes. So the next time you get change at the store, don't ignore that little silver coin. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Examine it under light. What looks like just another dime might be the rare treasure that collectors have been dreaming about. Today's video, you'll never look at a dime the same way again. Because hidden in the pockets, jars, drawers, and coin piles across America might be a coin that collectors are chasing with intense passion, the 1987 Roosevelt dime with a mint mark. And yes, believe it or not, some of these tiny coins have been valued higher than brand new luxury cars. It's time to uncover the mystery and value behind this overlooked yet fascinating piece of American currency. Now, let's take a step back in time to 1987. It was the era of cassette tapes, big hair, and re-agonomics. The economy was shifting, Wall Street was booming, and the U.S. Mint was steadily churning out coins like the Roosevelt dime. On the surface, the 1987 Roosevelt dime doesn't seem extraordinary, made of a clad composition with a copper core and a nickel outer layer, weighing just 2.27 grams, and featuring the ever-recognizable profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse. The reverse shows the Torch of Liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, symbols deeply embedded in American culture. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 1987 dimes were created equal. This coin was minted at 3 main locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, for proof coins. While millions were struck that year, over 665 million in Philadelphia, and more than 587 million in Denver, there are some rare varieties and errors that turn these everyday dimes into the ultimate treasure hunt. Collectors know that the value of a coin doesn't just lie in its age, it's about rarity, condition, historical relevance, and most importantly, mint errors. And the 1987 Roosevelt dime is no exception. One of the most valuable types of 1987 dimes are those with off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, sometimes drastically. These errors are not only visually striking but incredibly desirable among collectors. Even a small off-center strike can skyrocket the value. But when that off-center strike is combined with a high-grade uncirculated condition and a visible mint mark, the coin becomes ultra-rare. Another anomaly lies in missing mint marks, particularly on proof coins. Imagine owning a 1987 S Roosevelt proof dime, carefully struck with extra precision, except the mint mark is mysteriously absent. This error is so rare, it creates a buzz in the coin world every time one surfaces. Let's talk about condition. A Roosevelt dime from 1987 found in your pocket change might be worth 10 cents, or maybe a few dollars if it's in great shape. But a coin that is graded MS67 or higher, which means it is in near-perfect condition with sharp detail, luster, and barely any signs of wear, can attract the attention of collectors at national auctions. Now imagine this: a 1987 Roosevelt dime, struck at the Denver Mint, in pristine condition, with a dramatic off-center strike error and full bands on the torch, sold to an eager collector who knew exactly what he was holding. It wasn't just a dime. It was a piece of minting history, and these coins don't just exchange hands quietly. Some have made their way into major coin auctions, drawing competitive bidding wars among collectors who recognize the rarity of these specific 1987 dimes. Let me paint you a picture. Someone finds an old coin jar in their late grandfather's workshop. Among the pennies and nickels sits a bright 1987 dime. They notice it looks strange. The design is pushed to one side. The edges are sharp. There's a clear mint mark. They take it to a professional appraiser who stares at it in shock. After submission to a grading service, it returns with a grade of MS-68 with a documented off-center error. That coin, once worth 10 cents, becomes the highlight of their coin collection, a piece of American minting lore. So, what should you be looking for in your own 1987 Roosevelt dimes? Check for off-center strikes. Even small ones can be valuable. Look for missing mint marks, especially on proof coins. Examine the reverse for full bands, a sign of a strong strike, increasing the coin's desirability. And always consider the coin's overall condition. The fewer marks, scratches, or signs of circulation, the more likely it is to demand a premium price. And remember, it's not just about what you see with the naked eye. Some of the most valuable dimes have minor errors that only a trained eye, or a good magnifying glass, can detect. It's time to open those old piggy banks. Go through that dusty box of coins in your attic. Look at your change after every purchase. Because among them might just be a tiny silver-colored coin from 1987 that could change everything. And now, here comes the best part. One such 1987 Roosevelt dime, with the perfect storm of condition, error, rarity, and demand, was valued at an astonishing $55,000. Yes, you heard that right. Just 10 cents at the time of minting, now worth $55,000. So, don't underestimate the power of pocket change. That dime in your hand could be your next big discovery. Keep searching, keep collecting, and you just might strike silver gold. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to USA Coins 69 for more amazing coin finds. Turn on the bell icon, because you never know when your next dime might be worth thousands. Thanks for watching, and happy coin hunting.